Hey guys, welcome back to the ManLab. In this episode today, we are going to be going through a new supplement that's on the market right now known as SLU-PP, SLU-PP 332. It is known for its claim is it's a pill, exercising pill, which is kind of exciting, but there are some things that we probably should be considering before we just jump into anything that sounds great. So we're going to look at all the pros, potential cons, and what is the future of this medication. So today we've got Alex and Jeff again. And first question is, what is SLU-PP?
Yes, so we'll start by saying, yes, of course, Jeff and I are the R&D. We're the guinea pigs of this. So we've been both taking it as a kind of trial, see what we think about it. But it's kind of marketing sexiness term. It's an exercise mimetic. So kind of like exercise in a pill. What that means is it kind of expresses the cells in your body as if you're already doing exercise, almost to a point where you exercise when you go out and you raise your heart level and you do some sort of exercise, your body creates a certain type of switches that happens, that burns more calories, that produces more mitochondria health, that stimulates serotonin in the brain and gives you that feel-good feeling from exercise. So it's essentially a pill that expresses those actions. So by definition, just to kind of clarify something that actually threw me off, it's a pan-agonist estrogen related receptor product, right? So what it does is it binds to the estrogen receptors in our body. It's not an anti-estrogen.
It's a non-selective.
Right. So it has nothing to do with being an anti-estrogen. So if you hear about this estrogen receptor kind of definition of what it is, it has nothing to do with like anti-estrogens or producing estrogen or the estrogen that we know it. There are estrogen receptors in our body that have actions such as producing energy and creating like cellular health and other things that we
lipolysis, which we're going to talk about.
Lipolysis, fat burning effect. So anyway, that's kind of how it works in that.
Gotcha. So one thing is, when you were just saying that made me think, it triggers your body similar to how it does with exercise. One thing I think that's probably not going to be doing is an important part of exercise, which is muscle gaining. Like if I train just legs, cool, I'm exercising, but my upper body is going to be, pretty bad.
So you're not going to have the capabilities or benefit to build muscle, but it also has a property to actually preserve muscle. And that's kind of what makes it unique. And they've been looking at it for studies for people with obesity to be able to take it, be able to lose fat. And unfortunately, in the world we're in, you have people starving the weight off, maybe using things like the GLPs and losing muscle tissue. This is actually almost amping up your body, the mitochondrial energy to be able to use or have more fat usage as energy, but also preserve muscle tissue at the same time.
So it could be a complementary thing to semaglutide.
Yes, and I want to always say, like,
could be.
We've been on it. It doesn't do the work for you,
right,
but it definitely can kind of, it's like a nice little like icing on the cake to the activity you put in.
I think something important to think about this is like people who are in calorie deficiencies, when you're on tirzepatide, semaglutide, or any other diet for that matter, the big buzzwords in the media is like you lose muscle, right? And the reason why we lose muscle is because in a calorie deficient state, our bodies will burn muscle tissue before it chooses to burn fat, because at rest, our bodies are burning energy, but it's being selective with the energy it burns. It requires more energy, 9 calories to burn 1 gram of fat. It takes 4 calories to burn 1 gram of protein. So the body will utilize muscle tissue first, right? So if I'm sitting here just not eating and I'm not doing anything, my body is going to burn up muscle tissue as a means to essentially like fuel my activity of doing nothing.
Yeah.
If I go for a run and I can get my heart rate high enough, then the body will challenge itself. Not too high. There's this fat burning zone in which if your heart's burning super fast, you're going to fry your muscle, but slow, it's going to fry your muscle. And anywhere in between, it decides to burn fat, right? So this product turns on the willingness to the body to find fat as energy, put in that extra work to burn fat down as opposed to muscle. So it helps to prevent that catabolic reaction of calorie deficiencies and creates a almost anabolic reaction, which is an aerobic reaction for that matter, which is burning fat.
Find out if you may have low testosterone for free with the ADAM test. Now, sometimes it's a little bit nerve-wracking to go into a clinic to get a full blood panel to find out your hormone levels. And sometimes you might just want to sort of kick the tires just a little bit. If you are that person, the Atom test is for you. All it is a couple of questions that are completely non-intrusive, non-invasive, that will help give an indication to you whether you may or may not have low testosterone. And the best part is the Atom test is accurate up to 88% of the time. So for something as simple as a questionnaire, that is a very high number. Now, if you want to make use of that, you can do it online right now. It takes less than 30 seconds to fill out, and it is at bit.ly/free Atom test. That's free ADAM test. Now, if you don't want to remember that, the link is in the description of wherever you're listening or watching this podcast. And then after you've filled out the questionnaire, you will now have a better idea of whether you may or may not have low testosterone, and if you need to take the next step, which is a detailed blood panel with a clinic such as T-Clinics USA. So again, to make use of that, go to bit.ly/free Atom test, and let's continue to making men great again. Let's get back to the show. Interesting. So if you were to currently where it's at right now, who are the people that would most likely benefit from taking this, you think?
I mean, it's if you're someone who's really large with a lot of fat, you're probably not going to see it put a dent into that body fat. It's not going to be substantial. But somebody who's already training, physically active, watching their diet, they're probably going to see a little bit more lipolysis or fat loss quicker.
I think we always like to think of products like this as being that thing you use when you've exhausted everything else. You've already dieted, you've already exercised, you've hit a wall, you've hit that first plateau. You're looking at what else can I do to break me through this thing. So if you're morbidly obese or you're just starting your diet process, don't utilize a product like this to think you're going to get through the first 50% of your weight loss journey. There's a lot of people, unfortunately, though, that have over-dieted and stressed their metabolism to a point where when they diet and they feel like they do everything wrong, they truly hit walls. This product could be a great thing to integrate that can start to break through that challenge point. It's also really good for more of an elite athlete, somebody who's never really taken themselves beyond that utmost high level of their physique, like someone in your case or Jeff's case that you guys are really naturally lean, not naturally, but currently very lean based on your efforts and diets. You could probably see a leanness that you traditionally never get to and really not be doing anything different for that, aside from taking the product. One of our elite clientele that's super ripped, I don't want to say his name because I didn't really get his permission to, but he also has taken this product and he sent me pictures of himself recently. And I'm like, dude, you were already super shredded and now you're at a different level. I think there's a little psychology going into that he's challenging himself a little harder, dieting a little bit sharper. So, not to make this podcast extremely long, but things that you notice is you sweat more. Your workouts seem to be a little bit more challenging and not in a bad way. You work out a little bit harder and you definitely push yourself faster. Got a couple more reps. I feel like I'm in the intensity level without I'm not stimulated. There's no stimulant effect. So if you're scared of stimulants and uppers and you think that's the means of burning fat burning, that's not what this does. You just start your workout kind of in the zone. I feel like your muscles are primed for action a little quicker.
Yeah.
It does express that muscle activity. So in your point from earlier, if you were taking this, your body's already kind of wanting to build muscle because it's expressing those genes. So if you consume protein and you're naturally a person that's pretty muscular to begin with, you're actually probably going to grow muscle tissue for doing probably less than just your normal activity. We all to some point exercise. My arms doing this is somewhat of a challenge in my muscle tissue. So naturally, if I take in hormones and I'm using protein, I'm probably going to build more muscle tissue just having been on this. And because my body's going to utilize the fat oxidation as energy to do these actions and then therefore build muscle tissue too. And there's also a great mitochondrial health component to this, which we talk about that a lot. Mitochondria, powerhouse to cells, the thing that we need to create ATP energy, the thing that we take NAD plus for and all these other creatine, other things. Yeah. It spins the mitochondria faster so that cell can drive itself quicker. So almost like mitochondria spin in order to fuel a cell from doing its job. This actually stimulates the spin, which then gets into a little bit of a debate of overspinning the mitochondria.
Yeah, that was
and utilizing things like NAD, SLU-PP, and other therapies all combined at high doses. You can actually overspin your mitochondria, which can actually create some kind of a burnout effect. So there is a little risk in overdoing it. So don't go crazy with like jumping on too many mitochondrial stimulating properties in high doses. You know, we do NAD and this and that, everything together. I think we do it although a lot of stuff, we do it in reasonable or responsible doses.
Well, I would say too, with somebody that maybe is overweight or struggling or has like mitochondrial dysfunction, that's what originally was actually looked at for, was to fix metabolic deficiencies, increase mitochondrial function and energy usage. And then the SLU, just fun fact, I didn't know this until I started looking into it, is St. Louis University of Medicine was the first person to start trying to find it. So that's where the SLU comes from. I was like, no shit. Yeah. But they were looking into like metabolic disorders and looking at mitochondrial dysfunction to be able to try to repair that in people that are overweight or have too much fat.
Interesting. Yeah. Quickly, before we get back to the episode, please hit that subscribe button if you haven't on whatever channel you're watching or listening to the ManLab. And if you're listening on Spotify, if you could leave a 5-star review on the channel page, that would be greatly appreciated, because that will help continue to push it a little bit further for whoever is looking for information to help improve their health. Now, on the topic of information, if you are on YouTube, you can leave a comment below on this episode and we will respond to it with as much information as possible, or it might be another episode down the road. The reason this is important is because the more questions you guys ask, the more we know what we need to do to serve you guys better in future episodes. So comment on YouTube, leave a 5-star review, hit subscribe, and let's continue to help making men great again. We're going to take a break to quickly talk about Nuviva Medical Weight Loss. They have helped over 50,000 men and women across the state of Florida and other states as well throughout America lose those unwanted pounds and keep them off long term. Now, they don't do cookie cutter methods. They're going to make sure that you have your own system that will cater to your current lifestyle to help with your transition into making healthier long-term habits, so that it's not this unsustainable short-term hop on, hop off situation. Now, there are different methods you can do. You can choose different diets like keto, intermittent fasting, or whatever is going to suit you properly. You can do just diet and exercise with the proper nutrition, accountability, as well as coaching. Or you can also opt into having medical support as well with GLP-1s or GLP and GIP combinations to help with that appetite suppressant. These are very useful because what happens is you can use that as a spanner in the works, satiate yourself in the short term while you're building those habits long term. They get you off those medications so you're not relying on them like other places out there that love to just keep throwing you the medication. They're gonna make sure that you can get off it, build sustainable habits long term, and they have seen people lose upwards of sometimes 80 to 100 pounds and keep it off for years to follow. So if this sounds good to you, head to nuvivaweightloss.com. That link is in the description of wherever you're watching or listening to this podcast. So if that sounds good to you, head to nuvivaweightloss.com. That link is in the description of wherever you're watching or listening to this podcast. And let's go and kick some goals and make your life that much better with those extra pounds lost and gone for the rest of your life. Let's get back to the show.
It's exciting to think that there's something out there that truly can actually create your body's willingness and ability to utilize fat as energy. There's really nothing else like this that I'm aware of on the market. You know, we talk all the time about fat burners. There really isn't a fat burner. There's a heart rate raiser. There's a thermogenic effect property. There's a metabolic stimulant to a point where it creates muscle, like growth hormone products and stuff, but nothing that's truly geared to like, this will turn on the burning of the fat for energy. And I think this is the first of its kind. Try it, see if it's effective for you kind of thing. I do notice an improvement myself in what I feel my diet's results are as far as fat, loss. I feel hotter, I feel more sweaty. Granted, it's just turning into summer. That's the other thing, right? So like, I don't know, and I'm going to be truthful. I don't know because, I live in South Florida. I walk to the gym. It's starting to get hot out. I started taking it in like March, and now here we are at the end of April, about 30 days in. It's got like 15 degrees hotter and humider. And so of course I feel like shit, I'm sweatier and hotter. My diet's around this time of year, I tend to diet a little bit sharper, so I notice myself getting leaner. I'm not a baseline diet, and it's not like the controlled environment study that I probably should be doing.
So I'm actually like the best canary in the coal mine. I look at that type of stuff when I add something to the regimen. I notice like within about a half hour after taking it to about almost probably 2 hours after I took it, I definitely see a pickup in my like overall temperature, just like you said, sweaty, a little clammy. So I truly believe I feel it happening. I've been staying leaner without, my diet hasn't been as like precise. So I don't think it's the temperature. I don't think it's the heat, just because I've been trying to really like do a little trial and error with it. I still think my dose is pretty low. But that's the thing I was going to say too. There's not many things you could take that can ramp up your metabolism that doesn't come with some side effects. You'd have to do so much to get side effects with this, at least from everything that I've seen and talking to other people. And the safety versus risk profile is pretty good on it. And, you know, I like that side of things. If you could amp things up, because most of the time you're going to have to take like a stimulant to pick up your metabolism. Well, now if you have cardiac issues or uncontrolled blood pressure, that could be a problem. So whereas this one,
unlike something like clenbuterol or something where you feel like you have this like kind of hot feeling, or you feel like you're creating more oxygen in their body. Like this doesn't, none of these actions feel like they're happening. Like legitimately, you don't feel that sensation. I almost do feel, and this is something that I heard on another guy's podcast, and he brought it up, and it makes sense to me. You know, when you exercise, you get that kind of mental, like good feeling, you kind of like antidepressant almost. Like I feel like that
release.
Good endorphin kind of feeling throughout the duration of my day, even those days I don't do exercise. I've noticed like on the days that I get to the gym, and even if I have a lackluster workout, I still get that kind of go home feeling of like, I got a good workout in. And on those days I get a good workout in, I'm like, man, I fucking crushed it today. So yeah, I feel like it's it has a psychological kind of anti-depressant effect. At least on me, it does.
Nice. And so the last question would be like, what are maybe some things for like considerations for people to consider with the SLU-PP currently?
I think use it responsibly. Like I would say probably limit it to cycles, maybe like 60 days on, do 60 days off. I think it started at a point in your like process in which you've checked majority of the boxes already. You've already started improving your sleep, hygiene, and you started your diet program a good enough time prior to make it like so you're somewhat at the end of your body's natural abilities. Like make sure you're exercising consistently. Or, if you're limited in what you can exercise and you're limited in what you can't do a diet for whatever reason, don't expect like huge results because, again, you're still not putting in the effort. Like there's still your responsibility to have that lifestyle adjustment.
I think time in it, being smart with the application, it will make a big difference in the overall outcome. If you're doing it pre-training or if you're going to do it pre-fast, if you have someone who's doing like a 16-8 method, you're going to fast in the morning. Like those are best use time because you're trying to almost, once again, mimic exercise or improve lipolysis. So if you could time it out, you'll get a better overall net effect from using it if you're going to do it.
Hey guys, so just quickly, we've noticed a lot of you commenting that you're not sure where you can go to get trusted and safe peptides, testosterone replacement therapy, or testosterone boosting therapy. And we wanted to just make mention that T Clinics USA is one of those places. Now, Alex and Jeff, who you see in this podcast frequently, they're probably in this podcast right now with me, they are from T Clinics USA. And as they've shown in episode after episode, details is what matters. So just because you may want something or think you need something, they are going to make sure that you are getting the thing that is right for the goal that you have. And what's better is they offer a 10% introduction discount to anyone who is listening to the ManLab. So that is you. So if you wanted to make use of that, get peptides or testosterone from a place that you can trust that have your goals in mind and want to show you the right way to get there, go to tclinicsusa.com, mention the ManLab for 10% off your first package, and you can even ask Alex or Jeff directly any questions you may or may not have, which is kind of cool. So just again, tclinicsusa.com. If you don't want to remember that, the link is in the description of wherever you are listening or watching this podcast. Mention the ManLab in the contact form and you will receive 10% off your first package. Now let's get back to the show.
And I think like the healthier you are, you're going to need more in order to feel it. Yep. The more unhealthy you are, you can get away with less. It's kind of one of those models of if you have an empty bucket and you add a couple drops, those few drops are pretty significant. If you have a full bucket, and you add a couple drops, it's nothing huge. So for me, be it that I feel like my mitochondria is pretty damn stimulated and healthy to begin with, and
He's
I feel like
spinning it.
I'm spinning. It's taking me more to feel the effects than I think someone else I know who was like probably not as optimized as I am. And we met with 2 gentlemen today at the A4M.
Big in the space too.
That they're really big in the space, and these guys are definitely gurus in this. And we had the same conversation. They said if you're super optimized, that it's going to take you more to really be effective. And so again, a person who's maybe not as optimized, try a lighter dose, feel with it, play with it. So I personally, they come in like anywhere from 100 to like 250 microgram pills. And now, by the way, you're seeing them added to other things that make the product then different than what this is. So what we're not talking about those, we're talking about just the raw, strict SLU-PP dosage. 250 micrograms split into 2 parts throughout the day is where I think the average person should start. I, for one, am taking 500 micrograms first thing in the morning, and then I do a 250 in the middle of the day. Now, I know another gentleman, again, person I told you before, he's doing it 3 pills at night before he goes to bed, which is 750 micrograms before going to sleep.
Oh, wow.
Because his idea is like, can I burn fat while I'm at rest? And then he's waking up in the morning and having 500 micrograms, which is 2 more pills. So again, this 750 plus 500 twice a day. And again, he's extreme. Don't recommend this to everybody, but
this is not a recommendation.
But I'll tell you, like,
and he says like his results are great. And he's sleeping really well. I did try an evening one. I just didn't get a great night's sleep. I gave it 1 night shot. It could have been other factors going on. I did not get a good night's sleep, so I bailed on it.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it's still very early.
Well, no,
and so it is like,
Try, you're going to have, like, if you have the product, you can take it in the morning. You could take it before the gym. You could take 2 at once before you go. You could take 2 in the day. Take them at night. I mean, play with it and see how it works for you.
We got to say in this space, there's a lot of these newer peptides coming to the market, and it's uncharted territory forever for 20 plus years.
Right.
As things have come, we've had to find, okay, like this is what it's intended to do. Where's the best application? What's the dose? What's the common dose that fits most people? And so with this, it truly is like trial and error and see how you respond. I mean, best advice I would say is start low, start slow, and adjust it as you go, and just try to really pay attention. Don't throw the kitchen sink at your whole program. Be able to know what's doing what, and then adjust it accordingly.
And for all we know, again, because this is super early in the stages of this stuff being released, like maybe there's a tolerance component in which 750 for me won't be effective in the near future, which I then I may have to go to 1,000. I mean, we'll see. I don't know. And again, it's hard to assess because it's not like I take it, I'm like, oh, like I feel this product like so many other things that we do. So try it out, guys. I mean, if you're interested in really taking your exercise to the next tier, I think endurance athletes can definitely benefit too. I think there's an optimization of the utilization of fat. So if you're a runner, if you're a jujitsu guy, and you're doing long-term activity, maybe burning fat faster may not be hugely beneficial to you in your sport, but I know like pickleball players, it's not as intense, getting more exercise out of it, getting a more fat burning out of it. If you're just a weight trainer, bodybuilder, then you're always trying to achieve more muscle growth and burn more fat. So it definitely would be, up your alley. So if you're looking to look leaner, feel younger, and kind of improve that mitochondrial health, I think SLU-PP should be something you should try out.
Blake, you don't need any.
I don't know. I've got other peptides. All right, cool. Well, there you have it, guys. That's SLU-PP. Does T-Clinics offer it yet? Probably by the time this is out.
By the time this comes out, we will.
Yes. So, guys, if you wanted to find out more about SLU-PP, go to tclinicsusa.com. Also, if you mention the ManLab, you do get 10% off your first package. Even if it's not SLU-PP, it might be something else you've researched and you want to give that a try. So do that, tclinicsusa.com. Hit that subscribe button of wherever you're watching or listening to this, and we'll see you guys again soon. Peace.